Okay, we'll go ahead and bring the meeting to order. Vanessa, would you like to call roll
Yes, Chairman Nelson,
here?
Vice Chair Short,
Here.
Director Erler,
Here.
Director Kelly. I can hear him saying yes, but I think he's muted. And Director Gregorio doesn't appear to be on.
Okay, Jim, would you like to do our flag salute?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
To
of
the
the
flag
United
of the
States of
United
America,
States of America,
to the republic
to
for
the
which
republic
it
for which
stands,
it stands,
And
one nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
all right. Okay, we're having our board meeting and our next thing is public participation. Do we have anyone out there with a comment or anything to say at this time?
Yes, we have 3 participants with their hand raised. I'm just sharing the screen right now in case anyone needs to call in and see the meeting ID.
Okay,
So now we will go to our public participation. First, we have Mr. Roger Gitlin, so I'll allow him to speak now.
are you there, Roger?
Can you hear me okay? Yes? Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Before I speak, I want to make sure I'm talking in the right agenda item. Is the vote and discussion on adopting the fire assessment tax scheduled for agenda item 4.2? Is that my understanding?
4.1 will be to review and adopt the certification from the results.
And public comments are certainly available during that time. So I think I will reserve my comments for that agenda item 4.2. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next, it looks like we have Thomas Barnes, so I'm gonna allow him to speak now.
Thomas, are you there?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad to see my audio is working. I will go ahead and hold my comments also. And also I emailed the document to your email address just recently. It was just recently mailed. So if you have access to that, you might want to take a look at that because that's what my comments are going to be centered around. And this has to do with the proposed assessment that we're going to be discussing. So you might want to pull up my email and I will reserve my comments also until we get to that agenda item.
Okay, thank you. I've just forwarded that email to the chief, so we can
Okay,
answer that.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so next we have Miss Linda Sutter. So Linda, you're able to speak now.
Are you there, Linda?
Hello? Hello,
We can hear
Yes.
you.
can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is what you need to consider on this certification. This is an unfair tax based on large apartment corporations only paying $1,000 flat fee for 224 units for family residents. Pay quadruple the price. There's no public confidence or trust in this election because during the recount on June 28th, Alyssa Northup stated 4 ballots had changed their no vote to yes vote, that this was done on June 14th during 5 p.m. fire district meeting, and that the board members had approved of the ballots being changed during the meeting of June 14th. After reviewing the agenda of June 14th and meeting minutes, There was no reflection of what Ms. Northup has stated. This is less than truthful and could be considered as election fraud. On June 30th, during a special meeting over your budget, you combined CFPD with the Crescent City Fire District, and citizens of Crescent City Fire did not vote on this tax but are benefiting from this tax. This county is currently redistricting. The district's people will undoubtedly be placed in this fire district and we're not able to vote, and it will be forced to pay. Several people have come forth stating they did not receive their ballots, including Harbor District, and did not get a say in this election. None of you, including Plan West, followed the guidelines of the engineer's report. This is what you can expect if you certify this vote tonight. There are several causes of action against the Fire Protection District. You've already been notified by Howard Jarvis to preserve evidence. Furthermore, there will be an immediate recall on this fire district board members as well as clerk of registrar. You should reconsider your positions on this certification as it will result, only will it result just in a lawsuit, but a costly recall. Lastly, Trinity Fire Department has true volunteer fire district. Chief does not get paid, nor do volunteers. Their ISO is 5 because their PVC rating was low. That was the only reason. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else out there?
Yes, we have a Henry Geiger, so I'm gonna allow him to speak now. Henry, if you can hear me, you can speak now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, my name is Henry Geiger. I am a resident here in the Crescent City Fire Protection District, and I am truly upset the way that this all has happened. I understand we voted less or a little over 200 days ago and it fell, and now it's back on the ballot. We voted again. The number of no's outweigh the number of yeses, and I don't believe the way that you have it weighed is absolutely fair and correct. That's all I want to say, is that I'm totally against it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
It doesn't appear that there's anyone else with their hand raised at this time, Chairman Nelson.
All right. We'll move to item 3, consent calendar. 3.1, approve minutes of the regular meeting of June 14th, 2021. Minutes of the special meeting. Okay, I guess we got to do the one first and then the other next, or what?
Actually, no, with the consent calendar, if there's no items that any board member wishes to pull, we can just make a motion to adopt both 3.1 and 3.2.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt 3.1 and 3.2?
I move to adopt consent items 3.1 and 3.2.
So before we do adopt, though, we have to allow for public participation. I see that Linda Sutter has her hand raised. So we'll have to allow her to speak before we can adopt.
Okay, Linda?
Oh, no, she has put her hand down. Never mind, you can continue with going forward.
Okay. A motion has been made to accept it. Is there a second?
I second.
There's been a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moving on to item 4, new business. Take action as necessary and appropriate. Item 4.1, review and adopt certification of Crescent Fire Protection District benefit assessment ballot tabulation results summary. Chief, are you
All right.
there?
Thank you, Chairman Nelson. So for staff report, at the March 8th, 2021 meeting, the Crescent Fire Protection District Board of Directors reviewed the draft engineer's report prepared by Barter Wells Associates and adopted resolution number 21-001, thereby initiating Prop 218 proceedings, declaring the intention to levy assessments, approving the engineer's report, and providing for notice of hearing and mailing of assessment ballots. In addition, the board introduced ordinance number 21-001, which referenced the engineer's report and established the assessment levy provisions. The engineer's report was the basis of the proposed benefit assessment that would fund the cost of providing continued fire protection services and improvements within the district boundaries. The engineer's report, as adopted on March 8th, 2021, provided an estimated fiscal year 2021-22 assessment revenue requirement of $421,648, resulting in a proposed assessment rate of $74 per single-family equivalent benefit unit for fiscal year 2021-22. The proposed assessment would replace the 2006 assessment and would be in addition to the 1987 assessment for a total single-family equivalent benefit unit of $98 annually. After the meeting, a combined notice and ballot was mailed to each record owner of developed properties located within the district, as identified by the names and addresses appearing on the last equalized secured property tax assessment roll of Delaware County. The notice and ballot included information about the proposed assessment, summary of the procedures for completing and returning ballots, information about the public hearing, and the total amount of assessment proposed for the owner's particular parcel. Individuals owning more than one property within the district were mailed one ballot per each qualified property. Each ballot is weighted by the monetary amount of the assessment it represents. Property owners that would not be assessed, including undeveloped properties, were not mailed ballots. After ballots were distributed for the required 45-day period, some amendments to certain parcels were found to be necessary to update land use classifications as requested by property owners. A total of 4 parcels were amended, and the Crescent Fire Protection District Board adopted the amended engineer's report at the regular meeting on June 14th, 2021. This also reduced the anticipated revenue from $421,648 to $421,404, a reduction of $244. Therefore, the district also reintroduced by title only ordinance number 21-001, thereby reflecting the revised revenue requirement of $421,404. At the same meeting, a public hearing was held in conformance with Proposition 218 requirements. 8 comments were received during the public hearing. At the close of the public hearing, the ballot period was closed. Tabulation of the returned ballots was conducted after the close of the public hearing by the Del Norte County Elections Office. Only official ballots signed and marked with the property owner's support or opposition were able to be counted to determine if majority protest exists. A majority protest exists if, upon the conclusion of the public hearing, ballots submitted in opposition to the assessment exceed ballots submitted in favor of the assessment. In tabulating the ballots, each ballot is weighted according to the proportional financial obligation of the affected property. If majority protest exists, Crescent Fire Protection District shall not impose the assessment. If there is no majority protest, the assessment may be imposed beginning in fiscal year 21-22. The ballots were tabulated in a public viewable format at the Board of Supervisors chamber on Tuesday, June 15th, 2021 at 10 a.m. The official ballot tabulation results from June 15th, 2021 were reviewed by the Crescent Fire Protection Board at a special meeting on June 17th. The unofficial results showed that 1,734 ballots were received out of 5,253 ballots mailed, roughly a 33% return rate. There were 26 ballots that were invalid due to no signature or no marked vote. The assessment received 858 yes votes valued at $72,348.40, or 49.99%, and 876 no votes valued at $72,367.60, 50.01%. The difference between yes and no votes following the June 15th count was 0.013%, with a value difference of $19.20. Because of how close the ballot count was, the chance for human error when tabulating the ballots, the Crescent Fire Protection Board officially requested a ballot recount by the Del Norte County Elections Office. The recount was tabulated in a public viewable format at the Board of Supervisors chamber on Monday, June 28th, 2021, at 9 a.m. The results showed a total of 1,738 valid ballots cast of 5,253 ballots mailed. There were 26 ballots that were invalid due to no signature or no marked vote. The assessment received 860 yes votes valued at $72,503.80, or 50.01%, and 878 no votes valued at $72,486, 49.99%. The difference between yes and no votes following this count is 0.012% and a value difference of $17.80. Following the June 28th, 2021 tabulation, the Del Norte County Elections Office conducted a thorough canvass to account for every ballot cast, including the value of all valid yes and no ballots cast, to ensure that every valid ballot is included in the election totals. This canvass confirmed the June 28, 2021 tabulation result as included in attachment A. As a result, no majority protest exists, and therefore the assessment may be levied beginning fiscal year 2021-2022. In conclusion, staff recommends that the district board receive the report and adopt to certify the Crescent Fire Protection Benefit Assessment Ballot Tabulation Results Summary dated June 28, 2021. The passage of the 21 Fire District Assessment Ballot Measure is dire to the district. With the coming sunset of the 2006 assessment and no increase in revenues from the 87 assessment, there's a short window of funding through reserves that will be depleted in the coming 2 to 3 year period. Passage and implementation of the 2021 assessment brings revenue potential of $404 annually, beginning with 2021-2022. And you also have the attachment in the document. There's 2 pages there. There's a ballot tabulations results summary sheet, and then a sheet that gives more of a breakdown, but carries the same information as has been shared in the staff report and on that summary sheet.
Okay. Is there any discussion to that? It's time, can we open this up now to the public?
Yes. So it looks like Roger Gitlin has his hand raised, so we'll allow him to speak now. Roger, you can go ahead and unmute and speak now.
Okay, can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Okay, gentlemen, you know, this math question just begs to be questioned again. You have a victory, and I might add a Pyrrhic one, of 18 votes, and you lost this election. In reality, popular vote, you've lost this election. But because of some, and I can only attribute this to Plan West and this convoluted method of evaluating votes, where favoritism is obviously given to multi-residential property owners where they only have to pay $1,000. It's clearly unfair. Now, I'm going to urge you to vote no, and I'm going to give you my reasons. We need fire services. We need emergency care services. Fire services is not an issue, but we need emergency care services. No one disputes that. But the level and the manner in which you are evaluating votes is clearly unfair and punishes the average taxpayer in the district. And if I said the word beleaguered to you, I hope you all understand, our voters are beleaguered. You've spent $129,000 of public money, failed the first time, and I won't even call this a victory with less than 1%. It's 1/10 of 1% in terms of a method of evaluating which is highly questionable. Plan developed by Plan West. You need to go back to the table and you need to make this level playing field. Failure to do that severely compromises voter confidence in the system. This tax follows a city increase of 1%, which is actually a 12.2% sales tax increase. Likewise in the county, a transient occupancy tax, and now this tax. And that's what it is. It's an assessment. People simply are overwhelmed. I hope you will do the right thing. You will sit down with the opposition and we will hammer out a deal. This is not an immediate situation. You have plenty of reserves for the next 2 years. Let's make a deal which is fair for everybody, not just fair for some big property owners where they're only charged $1,000. I hope you consider this request very seriously, and let's sit down and hammer out a good deal for all people that we can all be happy with. Those are my comments.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have another party out there? Thomas? Mr. Barnes, are you out there?
Okay, how about now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. I'm Thomas Barnes. I am a property owner in the assessment district. I'm not going to be quite as eloquent as Roger Gitlin was. I sent you all an email, or I sent an email to your office. You all should have a copy of it. And basically, it lays out my position, which really hasn't changed. You've just had a vote 200 days ago. Here we are doing it again. But let me read this so I can articulate my position well. And if you would, if I go over my 3 minutes, please give me the time to state my case completely. It will not go on long. But basically, here's the situation. The procedure was that the fire district, with really no public input, worked with a consultant to rig an election by capping the cost to large property owners who have greater exposure, by the way, to services at the cost of the small property owner. Why would a large property owner with multiple units, like 100 or more units, get capped at $1,000 and then get a disproportionate amount of votes, 13.5 votes, when others pay $100 and only get 1 vote? Based on this logic and this rationale, if you're going to give $100 per vote, then the large parcel owner should really only get 10 votes, not 13.5 votes. And if just based on that alone, if you were to do that, it would change the outcome of this election, which is less than 1% favorable. The recommendation is to invalidate this vote. The margin that you want to claim that it passed by is statistically insignificant. Less than 1/10, or about 1/10 of 1%, or $17.80 out of a total of $145,000 is what you're claiming as a margin of victory. Statistically insignificant. The rationale and procedures used are suspect, discriminatory, and questionable, if not illegal, and has had zero public input prior to the ballot, and it has been voted on and failed less than 9 months ago. The supporting rationale is as follows. Ballots are subject to be changed or received after the cutoff and could be included in the counts. Ballots could possibly have been tampered with. There's no system that allows the correct number of ballots to be mailed to multifamily parcels, and there's no reconciliation process to ensure that the correct number of allowable votes were received and counted. The fact that this issue was voted on and defeated 200 days ago, and here we go again. What in the heck has changed between then and now? The city and county do not pay their fair share and it needs to be evaluated. There's been no public input on the procedures used, no public inclusion in committees, no public auditing or input on your procedures. The timing of your prior public meetings is suspect. You scheduled them at 11 o'clock in the morning when people worked. Only 4 people showed up, which favors any kind of public input. The timing of the hastily called last public meeting on the evening before was simply a CYA meeting. It was held the night before the vote when any input from the public would not be taken into consideration. There's been no public input on the budget of this fire district. Is it reasonable? Is it not? Where is the public input? The issuance of this vote has not been vetted properly and being forced on the public. It's improperly weighted in favor of multifamily owners that caps their liability at $1,000 with large complexes that require greater services and discriminates against the small property owner and charges the small owner a larger disproportionate discriminatory cost for coverage per unit. Some folks claim they did not receive ballots that received ballots on the first assessment vote that was defeated. And it's my understanding that these were no votes. That's all I have to say. And I urge you to shelve this, not approve it, go through it properly with public input, and let's get a reasonable assessment passed. No more comment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Thomas.
Okay.
Anyone
so
else up?
Next, we have Henry Geiger, so I'll allow him to speak now. Henry, go ahead.
Hello. So I again join with Mr. Barnes and with Mr. Gitlin and strongly urge you to vote no on this. It's disheartening. And I've already talked to Chief Gillespie and shared with him my concerns from the Republican Women's Meeting. That is all I really have. And I thank you guys for your consideration.
Okay. Next we have Linda Sutter with her hand raised. I'm gonna allow her to speak now. Okay, Linda, if you can unmute.
Can you hear me, Kevin? I mean, Vanessa?
We can hear you, yes.
Hello? Okay. Okay, I want you guys to really think hard about this because right now you look really, really bad. Okay, there's no public trust whatsoever. And you're claiming victory over $17.80 or whatever that petty amount is. That is not a victory. And if you defy the public over this, it's not going to be a win-win situation. It's like Mr. Barnes and Mr. Gitlin stated, why don't we all come to the table and sit down and make something up? We don't like to have things shoved in our throats whenever the majority has really said no. But you had to recount the votes. And I guess the regular ballots had baby ballots because 4 more were found whenever Ms. Northa clearly stated on the 17th there was 1,734 votes. Thank you very much. If you don't vote people, it's you that look bad.
Thank you. Anyone else out there, Vanessa?
Okay, it looks like now we have Hank. So I'm gonna allow him to speak now. And Hank, if you could please state your last name. Before
Yeah, for the record, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, for the record, that's Hank Aiken, A-K-I-N.
Okay, thank
And
you.
one of the things that I'm particularly disturbed about right now, I'm not going to repeat what everybody else says, but I do echo that. You've got 3 board of directors that are logged in on here and not on screen. So they're not here for the arguments. You don't have enough people for a quorum to make a vote on this. And then that's particularly bothering. If you don't have time to sit here and listen to the public, that's pretty rude. And I serve on a board, so I know those rules, and you need to consider those as well. Thanks.
Okay, it appears that no one else has their hand raised at this time. Oh, no, Donna Westfall has her hand raised, so I'll allow her to speak now. Okay, Donna.
Okay, I just pressed unmute. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you so much. I also urge you to vote no on this. Several things. I'm wearing two hats here. One as a property owner that had 2 votes, and also as editor of an online newspaper, crescentcitytimes.com. Now, I have called you, Vanessa, and you told me to call Pro Vote Solutions. I had questions about the ballots, and specifically, I'm aware of people that did not receive ballots this time around that did receive ballots last time and voted no. So I want to know what the problem is with that. Secondly, again, there's no sunset clause, but there is a cost of living increase. In my opinion, this is not good. The rate is too high, and you really need to work with the public. And then there's only the 22% that are fire-related call-outs. This has got to change. I don't want to pay for all those medical call-outs. There's got to be another way to address this, that you're not going to go after the taxpayer. So basically, I'm just going to be on the coattails of Roger Gitlin, Tony Barnes, Linda Sutter, Hank Aiken, Geiger, and say, vote no, redo this, do it properly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else out there?
It doesn't appear that anyone else has their hand raised at this time.
If you don't mind, I'd like to say something. For you people out there listening, I am a board member. I've been on the board for quite a few years. I gave 29 years of my life to this fire department as a fireman, as some of the other board members out there have given many years of service to the department. I've been on the board now since it's been 9 years since I retired as far as being a fireman. You know, you might think that we're terrible board members. You can think what you want, but we do the best we can. We try to save money. And the bottom line is we've got firefighters here that put a minimum of 6 to 9 hours a month in for training at the department. Some of them come even extra time to wash trucks and clean the fire department. They don't ask any questions. Sometimes they'll go out on a fire for 2, 3, 4 hours and still make it to work in the morning. That's called devotion. Every penny of this money, this $98 that the taxpayers are paying, goes to the fire department. It does not go to the county or anywhere else. It comes to the fire department. That comes down to $8.17 a month, or 27 cents a day. You know, I could be facetious and say, hey, if you're a smoker, 1 cigarette costs 35 cents a day, or 35 cents. If you gave up 1 cigarette, what's more important, fire department or 1 cigarette? For a coffee drinker that goes to Starbucks, 2 or 3 coffees, if you gave up in a month's time, you're going to more than pay for what this benefit assessment is costing you. I would hate to see the morale of the fire department go downhill and not have the services that we have. We have a very good fire department here. They roll a lot of times just as fast as a full paid department with people on board. And I think our county should be proud that we have a fire department like we have. And I think a lot of people think that we are a paid department, but we're not. We're strictly volunteer, and we do the best we can. We beg for people to come to our fire meetings. They don't show up.
Yeah.
And it's been like that for years and years and years. So you can say what you want. If you want to get up at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with some of the firemen and roll on a fire, hey, be my guest. I say, come on. You know, but the bottom line is we have true dedication from our firefighters, and they're giving our county the uttermost of their time. They're sacrificing from their family, their wife and children to be here and put the time in that they do. And I'm almost ashamed that the county feels that we did this democratically, okay? It came down to, yes, one vote it came down to, which was broken down into dollars. But you know, if you go to a horse race, your horse can win by 1 inch, and that's a victory. And that's kind of how this one is. It's that close of a victory, but it is a victory. Why should we wait a year or two to go back and do this again and have to spend another $40,000 of the taxpayers to put on this vote? That's all I have to say. I'm just
Chairman
ashamed
Nelson.
of it. Yes.
Chairman Nelson, I'd like to
Yes.
say something as well. You know, I understand some of your folks' frustration. You know, we've gone through this process now a second time. You know, we did hire Bartles and Wells, and throughout the process, we learned some new challenges and some things we had to deal with it and had to adapt to the rules and regulations that govern, you know, the elections and the way this was all done. And I do sympathize with you folks that, you know, some of you may think it's not fair. It wasn't done quite right, but, you know, we did follow the process. We did hire a firm that we felt that would lead us to the right direction. And again, things happen, but to really go through this again and spend another 100,000, or, you know, we're at 120 or 130,000 we've spent, you know, we cannot continue to go backwards. And we sympathize, we understand your frustration, but we're losing time. And what's to say that if we wait again and we put this committee together that's going to pass, it may not. And I think for the benefit of our community and the fire department and what we do, we need to continue to push forward, and we need to continue to make the changes that we need to make within the fire department to serve the citizens of Del Norte County. And, you know, again, I understand your frustrations, but we need to move forward, and we need to continue to provide the quality service that we do to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Any other commissioner?
Yeah. I am taking offense that we hid out and we did any of this in secret. This has been a years-long process. Every single meeting we've had has been open to the public. You know, you guys coming along, I understand. I don't like taxes either, but if I'm going to pay a tax, I would really like to choose where it goes. And in this department, it's all going for the department. We're the board members here, we're not getting anything out of this. We get absolutely no monetary consideration for anything we're giving of our time, like our firefighters do. They get some compensation, but it's precious little enough compared to what the rest of the world is doing. But none of this was done in secret. I'm glad you guys are paying attention now, but it's not time. Oh, I don't like the outcome, so we need to start over because we didn't get the outcome we wanted. If we had failed, as the original vote started to indicate, if we had failed, there would be none of y'all concerned about the process and how it went on at this point. We wouldn't even be hearing from you, and we'd be sitting here trying to figure out how are we going to go forward in the next 5, 10, 15 years and still have a viable department. So no, none of it was done in secret. You guys are complaining about let's start over again. No, we're not starting over again. We've been working on this for years. You should have come along a lot sooner. And over the last several years, there have been several times we've needed board members. Nobody showed up. So we're glad to have the people that we have, and you know, it's uncompensated. Nobody's interested, I guess, but the people that are here are dedicated and they work their tail off for this. And I'm gonna tell you, tough bananas. I'm sorry you feel that way, but we've done everything straight up above board, and our integrity is sound.
Director Kelly, I think it is important to point out that the compensation that the firefighters get only when they respond. It varies from $5 to $10 per call.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
I think it's really important is, if you are EMT and so on, obviously you get the $10, but that is what our firefighters are getting is $5 to $10 per call. That call may last 10 minutes or that call may last 2, 3, 4 hours, up to 8 hours or more, depending on what's going on.
Exactly.
So I really
And-
think it's really important for everybody to understand that we're not getting paid all this amount of money that folks feel that the firefighters are getting paid.
And nobody has the right to demand a volunteer come and give them services. Nobody has that right. These guys are doing it because they're dedicated. And I really am offended that you act like we're not, and we're not doing the job for the right reasons. So, now you don't have the right to demand a volunteer come take care of your problem. You get a flat tire, you either pay somebody to do it or you fix it yourself. I'll shut up.
Chairman Nelson?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to add something too to this. It doesn't bother me, but I think it's something that's critical, need to be brought out, is that it's been strongly suggested that we not pass this vote or this, and that the fire district live off of the reserve fund for the next few years. And that is not a possible solution. I mean, as we all know, the reserve fund is limited. And we need that for emergencies. And if you live off the reserve fund for the next 2 years, you're not going to have a reserve fund. So when a catastrophic event happens and you need extra cash, it's not going to be there. We have that reserve fund for a reason. I mean, we use it a minor amount every year to make up deficits, but you can't fund the whole annual budget off of reserve fund. I mean, things like, I don't think people understand the cost of doing business as a fire department. If the engine needs to be repaired, you got to take it to a certified mechanic. You just can't take it down to George's or Joe's or a couple of guys across the street. Same thing with the turnouts. They've got to be replaced every few years. And when you got 25% of the turnouts being replaced every year on an annual basis, it's expensive. It's not cheap. It's, the cost of doing business. And you can say the same thing about the breathing apparatus, and that reserve fund, if you deplete it, by, the daily operational funding of the fire district, you won't be able to do what's mandated that we do, like, the turnout replacement or, repair of the engines. It's just not feasible. So I think we need to just, consider that, the reserve fund is just can't be used for a daily operational funding of the fire department. It's got a purpose and that's not it. So,
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else? Okay, if no other comments.
Chairman Nelson, I just
Yes.
wanted to let you know that there are 3 people with their hands up, but all 3 of them have already spoke. So if we allow one person to speak, we need to open it up for everyone to speak again. It is the board's choice to let each person have another public comment or to move forward with the meeting.
I say move on with the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, move to item 4.2, consider and adopt ordinance 21-001, an ordinance of the Crescent Fire Protection District levying a fire suppression assessment beginning in fiscal year 2021 and 2022.
Chair Nelson, before we go to that item, we do have to have the board vote to adopt and certify the Crescent Fire Protection District Benefit Assessment ballot tabulation results.
I skipped one. Sorry about that. Yes, is there anything that you would like to bring up on that before we take a vote? Okay, I'm assuming we want to poll vote on that, Vanessa?
Yeah, it can be adopted by a motion and then I can pull.
Okay. Do I
Okay,
have a motion?
I make a motion that we adopt and certify the Crescent Fire Protection District benefit assessment ballot tabulation for June 28, 21.
Do we have to read or waive the reading of that first?
That's for the next item.
Okay.
Do I hear a
Well, we're at
second?
4-1 then.
I second that.
Okay, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
And you want to pull that then, Vanessa, too, or
Yes.
is that good enough?
Chairman Nelson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Short,
yes,
Director Erler,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Gregorio.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Now we can move on to item 4.2. Consider and adopt ordinances 21-001 and an ordinance of the Crescent Fire Protection District levying a fire suppression assessment beginning in fiscal year 2021 and 22. Chief?
Thank you, Chairman Nelson. The Crescent Fire Protection District proposed fire protection and emergency response services benefit assessment would fund the services and improvements included in Crescent City Fire and Rescue's 10-year financial master plan adopted in November 2019. The 10-year financial master plan identifies priority actions and funding needed to create a sustainable fire department, including expanding volunteer staffing programs, apparatus and equipment replacement, volunteer recruitment training, and increased administrative capacity with the goal of aligning its core programs and services with the needs of the community so as not to overserve and, most importantly, not to underserve those needs. In absence of additional funding, it is estimated that the Crescent Fire Protection District would exhaust its limited reserve funds within 2 to 3 years period while trying to maintain the current level of service that residents have come to expect. At the March 8th, 2021 meeting, the Board of Directors reviewed the draft engineer's report prepared by Botterill Wells Associates and adopted Resolution 20-001 to initiate the Prop 218 procedures, declaring intentions to levy assessment, approving the engineer's report, and providing for notice of hearing and mailing of assessment ballots. In addition, the board introduced ordinance number 21-001, which references the fire engineer's report and establishes the assessment levy provisions. The engineer's report was the basis of the proposed benefit assessment that would fund the cost of providing continued fire protection services and improvement within the district boundaries. The engineer's report was adopted March 8th, provided an estimated $421,648, resulting in the assessment rate of $74 per single family equivalent benefit unit for fiscal year 2021-22. This would replace the 2006 assessment and would be in addition to the 1987 assessment for a total single family equivalent benefit unit of $98 annually. After the meeting, combined notice and ballot was mailed to each owner of record of the developed properties located within the district as identified by the names and addresses appearing on the last equalized secured property tax assessment roll of Delmark County. The notice and ballot included information about the proposed assessment, a summary of the procedure for completing and returning ballots, information about the public hearing, and the total amount of assessment proposed for the owner's particular parcel. Individuals owning more than one property within the district were mailed one ballot for each property. Each ballot is weighted by the monetary amount of the assessment it represents. Property owners would not be assessed, including undeveloped parcels, were not mailed ballots. After ballots were distributed for the required 45-day period, amendments to certain parcels were found to be necessary as requested by property owners. A total of 4 parcels were amended, and the board adopted and amended the engineer's report at the regular meeting on June 14th, 2021. As you've heard prior, this also reduced the anticipated revenue from $421,648 to $421,548 $404, or a reduction of $244. Therefore, the district board also reintroduced by title only ordinance number 21-01, reflecting the revised revenue required of $421,404. At the same meeting, a public hearing was held in conformance with Prop 218 requirements. 8 comments were received during the public hearing. At the close of the public hearing, the ballot period was closed. Tabulation of the returned ballots was conducted after the close of the public hearing by the Del Mar County Elections Office. Only official ballots signed and marked with property owner's support or opposition were able to be counted to determine if a majority protest existed. A majority protest exists if, upon the conclusion of the public hearing, ballots submitted in opposition to the assessment exceeded ballots submitted in favor of the assessment. In tabulating the ballots, each ballot is weighted according to the proportional financial obligation of the affected property. If majority protest exists, Crescent Fire Protection District shall not impose the assessment. If there is no majority protest, the assessment may be imposed beginning in fiscal year 2021-22. Ballots were tabulated in public view on June 15th after a June, and they came back behind in or not in favor for the Fire Protection District. At a special meeting June 17th, the district board requested an official recount. The unofficial, after that recount conducted on Monday, June 28th, 2021 at 9 a.m., the results showed 1,738 ballots cast, of 5,253 mailed. We heard the results in the last, and the board has approved or certified that tabulation. So in conclusion, to be able to move forward, staff recommends that, having now certified the vote, staff recommends that the district board consider and waive full reading, read by title only, and adopt ordinance number 21-001, an ordinance of the Crescent Fire Protection District levying a fire suppression assessment beginning in fiscal year 2021-22, as included in attachment A. And as a reminder, the fiscal impact, the passage of the 2021 fire assessment ballot measure is dire for the district. We've got about 2 to 3 years left with the sunsetting of the 2006 assessment. Passage of this through the adoption of ordinance 21-001 brings revenue potential of $421,404 annually, beginning in fiscal year 21-22. And as an attachment, the ordinance, as you have seen before in multiple meetings, is attached. Your approval tonight to waive reading and adopt this ordinance will start the process forward with the county to be able to apply the assessment.
Okay, I see. Do we have to take public comment again on this one?
That's correct.
So item 2, public comment. Vanessa, would you
Yes.
like to?
So it looks like Mr. Thomas Burns has his hand raised, so we'll allow him to speak now.
Thomas?
Okay, he should be able to unmute it now.
Okay, I think you can hear me and you can see me. Good.
Yes.
So you know who you're talking to. Well, look, fellas, I can't tell you how disappointed I am in you as a governing body. I can see it, God, this whole thing is for public input. You guys are looked at by the public to run this district for us. And I see that this is recorded. And Vanessa, I would like to ask you to make sure that I can get a copy of this recording. Is that true?
Yeah, it will be on our website.
Okay, good. And it'll be unedited, I assume. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know how to edit Zoom videos, so.
Okay, good. Well, gentlemen, here's what I've got to say to you as our governing body of this fire district. It's easy to see your attitude to the public you serve. As you said to us, the public, it's just tough bananas, public. It's just tough bananas for the public, even with all of the submitted rationale that you have submitted on why it should be reevaluated with public input and done correctly is just tough bananas for us, the public. And also you stated that you can't take the time or the money to have another vote with public input. But it's interesting to me that you did decide to have another vote when it was defeated 200 days ago. But now that you've got all this public discourse and discontent with this, you don't think that it's worthy to take the time to do it with public input. And now you have voted unanimously to pass this, and I'm going to call it a rogue assessment, illegal assessment, we'll call it that, and it's passed with a 0.012%. Not even 1%. It's within the deviation of statistical error. And yet you approve it on a unanimous basis. And your comment to us, the public, is tough bananas. I've got a comment for you, fellas. You're not doing your job right. And you're not representing us right as our representatives. And it's tough bananas today, but I guess we'll just have to see what the future holds. But that is despicable to make that kind of a comment to the public that you're supposed to serve. Nobody's saying that you shouldn't have money to run the district. What we are saying is let's do it correctly and let's reach a correct assessment that correctly assesses the people, the large property owners and the small property owners alike. But you don't see fit to do that. And your comment to us is tough bananas. I am disgusted. That's the only comment that I have for you.
Well, just as a point of order, you make sure that's Director Kelly. It wasn't the rest of the board. And I still stand by it. You want to come in?
That's fine. He can stand by that. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue. That was a comment that you guys made publicly.
No, that was me.
That's fine. That's a comment that you made, and I'm sure you'll wind up answering for that. But the other members of this board stood by that comment and let it be heard by the public. And you're asking us to give you guys $100 a parcel a year with no sunset clause. And I'm telling you, it's disgusting. And you could take the time to redo this properly. We're not asking you to spend all of your reserves. Take the time to redo this properly and let's get a proper assessment out there. We want this fire district, but we want people that represent us to run it. And those kind of comments to the public that you serve are disgusting. I have nothing else to say. I can't even listen to it. I've never seen a public meeting like this in my life, where the condescending public officials talk down to the public people that pay the money to support this. It is despicable. That's it. That's all I have. But you have not heard the last of this, I guarantee you. And your vote of 5-0 is disgusting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Yes, next we have Linda Sutter, so I'll allow her to speak now. Okay, Linda, you can unmute and speak.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to follow through with what Mr. Barnes said. There's absolutely no professionalism with this board. You guys, I don't think you read the master plan. I don't think you understand it, because if you did, you would know that $421,404 isn't going to cover the salary base that you're requesting. 3 captains and 1 chief come out to $630,000. So you're already $208,000 in the hole. Okay, but that's okay. You guys sit on your bum and you thumb through and expect everybody else to know the answers, but you yourself don't even know the answers. And then you're going to tell the public tough bananas. And Mr. Kelly, you represent the whole group as well as each individual person on that board. Okay, so when you guys start talking like that to us, let's just put it this way. I am getting ready to recall each and every one of you. Each and every one of you will be recalled. You'll be paying for the recall. There's going to be a lawsuit over this because none of it was done right. And I hope you enjoy spending that money, because this is what the taxpayers are going to do to you. Nobody in hell said that the fire department doesn't deserve money. But by gosh, when I look at other fire departments and how they're running their business compared to this one, it's a damn shame. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Yes, now we have Hank. So I'm gonna allow him to speak now.
Okay, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just have to echo that. I cannot believe it. If anybody on my board acted like that, it'd be ridiculous and I'd shut it down. But Chairman Nelson, I cannot believe you're snickering at what your constituents are trying to tell you. Not one person put down the fire department. Not one person said they didn't deserve it. Now, the fact that Nelson, Erler, and Kelly have taken this personal, I seriously think you should recuse yourselves from the vote because it's no longer business. And I want to thank Mr. Short, Mr. Gregorio, for not following suit and taking it personal. Mr. Gregorio said many things and he didn't once take it personal and attack his own constituents. Chief Gillespie, him and I spoke earlier, a couple of weeks ago about money savings and this and that, and he agreed that there was places to be done. You're asking for a tax when there's a lot of mismanagement of the money. And I'm not saying it's the chief's fault. I'm just saying that it exists and you can see it. I just watched the other day that 3 fire trucks, an ambulance, and 2 CHP responded outside of your district so that you could boost your call level to somebody that was throwing up in the Redwoods. That wasn't even in your district, but yet you responded to it. There's money savings there. I don't understand why that takes place. I don't understand why we've got 5 fire trucks idling in the middle of the street with 10 firefighters directing traffic, and they're the only ones blocking the traffic. And how much money you can save if you look at UPS and those outfits, how much money they save by turning their engines off. You can't turn a fire engine off. It needs to be able to respond. We all get that. Not one person belittled your firefighting people or your fire department. That's a shame. Sorry. Good day.
Okay. So next we have Henry Geiger. So I'll allow him to speak now. All right, Henry, you can unmute.
First off, I want to say, I thank each and every one of you for the time that you volunteered as firemen. It's nothing personal. But when I sit here and I listen to people saying tough bananas, Director Kelly, I got it. Tough bananas. Shake your head all you want. It doesn't matter. Chairman Nelson, I understand that sometimes people make comments and it gets under our skin. Professionalism across the board, you demand it from your firefighters, right?
Exactly.
So if you demand it from your firefighters, shouldn't the board of directors establish that same professionalism? I've lived here in Crescent City for over 5 years. It is the little things that really upset me. That makes me wonder if I move to the right area. I've sat here and I've listened, and at no time did I hear belittling. I've heard disappointment. I've heard urgingly strong to vote no. But at no time do I feel that you guys even took the public comments even seriously. I believe you already had your minds made up before you even sat down on this Zoom meeting. And if you didn't, to those individuals, I apologize. So many times we want to let things get out of control, and it's disheartening to see those things. But I want you to understand one thing. No matter what the outcome is, I support each and every firefighter who's out there. I told that to Chief Gillespie, and I'm telling that to you now. But for you to say, if you want to get up at 2 a.m. and ride along with the firemen, I say, If you want to get up at 2 a.m. and respond to incoming mortar rounds, then let's do it. Those are the things that I've done. I would love nothing more than to be a volunteer fireman, but I can't. The injuries I sustained in my service to this country prevent me from doing such. And it's disheartening to hear even remotely that the call goes out, but nobody responds. Trust me, if I could, I would. And I want you to understand, I support each and every one of you. I've told that to Chief Gillespie. I've told that to firefighters I see everywhere. I stand behind you. But some things I can't stand behind. And this vote tonight is one of them. I thank you for allowing me to speak. And I'm done.
Thank you very much. And for your time that you served in defending our country. Thank you.
Okay, it doesn't appear that anyone else has their hand raised at this time.
No other comments?
No other comments at this time.
Okay, do we have a motion for item 4.2?
I make a motion for ordinance 21001 for the Crescent City Fire Protection District levying a fire suppression assessment beginning in fiscal year 2021 to 2022 as included in attachment A.
Okay. Do I hear a second motion?
I'll second it.
Then a first and a second. Any discussion before we take the vote? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed? Motion carried. You want to take a poll vote on that, Vanessa?
Chairman Nelson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Short,
Yes.
Director Gregorio,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
and Director Erler. Director Erler, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I vote no.
Okay. The yeses outweigh the noes, and so it has been passed.
I just want to clarify really quick. Did you adopt the waive full reading and by title only? We need to make sure that that was documented.
Yes, we waived the reading on it. That was test by the chief that we were waiving it.
Okay.
Okay. Item 5, old business. Doesn't look like we have any old business at this time. Item 6, chief's report. Chief?
All right, the only thing we have on the chief's report is responses that occurred between June 1st and June 30th, 2021. Within the fire protection district, we responded to 95 calls within the district boundaries and responded to 45 calls within the city for a total of 140 calls for the month of June. With that, in both locations, we did have, it broke down in the district. We had one building fire, we had trash and rubbish fire, a recreational vehicle fire, passenger vehicle fire, natural vegetation fire, wildland fire, brush fire, down through 45 medical aids, jumping for the highlights. Motor vehicle accident reported with no injuries was 4, of which with those, once we find out there's no injuries, if we're not on scene, were typically canceled, one with injuries. We had one extrication, power lines down, 12 call outs for unauthorized burning. We had 5 dispatched and canceled en route. 4, no incident found upon arrival at the dispatch address. Control burning, smoke scares, smoke detector activation due to malfunction, and another one that was unintentional.
So how many calls did we have total?
So we had within the district, we had 95. Crescent City Fire and Rescue also responded to 45 within the city limits for a total of 140 calls during the month.
Quite a few calls.
Being very active.
Can you, on those calls, can you, how many medicals did we respond in the city and the district?
45.
Yeah, for the city was for medical aids was 28, in the district was 45. Motor vehicle accidents with injuries, 1 in each jurisdiction. Motor vehicle accidents, no injuries, 1 in the city, 4 in the district. We had an elevator rescue that falls in that category. So it stayed fairly busy.
And as far as fire related calls, not medicals, what was the total on that?
Okay, so outside of that, it breaks it into a number of categories.
It'd be 50 for us.
Fires, we had, it looks like 4 within the city, and then a host of other calls dealing with lines down, power lines, unauthorized burning. So it looks like of those, it was about 15 of the calls total in the city were fire related. Within the district, we had of the 95, it looks like of those, we had 50 that were medical related, and the balance were some form of either a fire or a down power lines or other calls that the fire department responded to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments from the board? If not, we'll move to item 7, board comments. Anything that we need to bring up that for the next business meeting that you can think of? No comments? You know, I might make one add. I appreciate the people calling in for their concerns about the department. And, you know, it was a close vote, any way you want to look at it. And it was a very narrow victory, but it was a victory. We did everything we could, everything above and beyond board. We live in a democratic nation, and we didn't have anything to do with that extra vote that was found. It was misplaced vote, and that's just the way it came out. It was very close, but we have to follow the wish of the public. The public voted, and it was a victory. It was a small victory, but if you want to look at it, we only had 33% of the people took the time to vote. So that tells you there's a lot of people that aren't concerned, and the people are saying that we should have more people come in and voice their opinion. We would love to have you people come in and voice your opinion and to give ideas if you have ideas. So our board is always open to the public. You can come in anytime. Feel free to give us your opinions. If you think that there's something that you could be helpful to help us out, we would be glad to put you on a committee to help us out. So don't ever think that we are not appreciative of the public. We serve the public, and we try to do the best we can at that. And it is a little bit offensive to be accused of being bad board members and not doing a diligent job, because we do a very good job and we do the best we can. We try to save money. So that's where it's at. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'd like to
I
make a
move to
motion to adjourn
adjourn.
this meeting.
A motion
I
has been
second it
made.
and third it.
We are adjourned. Thank you.